Noman do they call me, my mother and my father, and all my comrades as well. Hey everybody, um, welcome to the Q&A live stream. Gonna admit that I kind of racked my brain for ideas of stuff to do. I'm not quite up to, I haven't quite caught up in writing the story um, for growing the tribe, and I didn't really have a great idea of what to do with Adrian Pius or any of my other characters. I didn't have an idea for something brand new for the stream. So I thought I'd give you guys kind of a news update on what things I want to do for the channel. Talk a little bit about some issues that I'm dealing with right now. And this morning I got a bit of I got a copyright ding on the latest Orcs Discuss video. And I'm using the same song that I did before, which is Johann Sebastian Bach's Orchestral Suite number 3. And there's a portion of it that is the Gavotte. And that's what I use for the Orc videos. I think it sounds really funny, and it works really well. Hey, Nightmare, how's it going? I'm just kind of talking through things, so if people are listening to the replay, they don't have to wait for me to start talking. They don't have to find where I'm starting to talk. But yeah, basically, this is going to be a Q&A session. You guys can ask questions of what you want. But I also wanted to talk about like where the channel's going, some of my own thoughts on different series that are currently going on, some of what's going on with me and where my head is at on certain issues. And like I said, I would need to. I want to discuss some copyright stuff. So, Dave the Tech Priest, would you be willing to do a 40K themed VTuber? That would be a lot of fun, except getting a model and getting it designed and getting it made can cost a lot of money. It can cost low end is hundreds, high end is thousands. And if Games Workshop is like, you can't do that, then I am out of a ton of money. So I can't really. It's a cool idea. I have thought about it. I have thought about doing Og the Ogren, and I could probably scrub GW's IP from it. Like I could just be a generic ogre sort of guy. I'd just be Og the Ogre, and then do VTubing type stuff. But I also doing VTubing and streaming requires like a fairly big time commitment. Most successful VTubers are like streaming for big chunk of hours. So it's a good idea. I'm not familiar with the software that does it. I am not really like a game streamer. I don't own a whole lot of games. I also am able to do what I'm currently doing, dividing my time between taking care of my dogs, spending time with my husband, going through. I'm currently in school, so I'm balancing that out. Doing the VTuber thing would be interesting, but I kind of would need to get bigger and have more money and have a better plan of what I was going to do. Because I can do Og's voice, but I also don't know what I do. Like part of it is I don't really understand streaming. I don't really understand the culture of video game streaming, and I don't know if I can adapt my voice talents to it. Like, I'm not saying it'll never ever happen, but I need to adjust some stuff. do an Orcs Discuss Nihilism or Existentialism. Might do that. I might do that. Nihilism's a little bit close to solipsism. Existentialism I could do, but kind of the I could do the ABCs of existentialism through Orcs, but it's similar to stuff they've done recently. I might do that later. If Snottiest were to ever die, perish the thought, is there a successor ready to take his place? Basically, the way that game is set up, because the whole story and the role playing game is set up by live streams. So people come in and they play. They all kind of collectively play as Snottiest. And the rules of the game are: if Snottiest dies, then then you respawn, and you respawn as whatever Orcoid is available. So you could pop up as an orc or a snotling or a squig or a Gretchen, depending on what people wanted to do. So, all right, I will go into some Q&A. So I want to hold off on doing a full-on Q&A for a second. I did want to talk about. I ran into a bit of an issue this morning when I posted my orc video, because I said this at the beginning. I got dinged for a copyright claim on the music that I was using, which is Johann Sebastian Bach's third orchestral suite. And there's a section of it called the Gavotte, which I use for my Orcs Discuss things, and I think it's very, think it's a lot. I think it's very funny and sounds very funny, and it's a very old song, but I got a copyright claim on it. I thought that if you're just using songs that are old, people can't make a claim on it. And I did a little bit of research before coming on here to complain about it, because originally I was just going to be like, "Oh, it's ridiculous! It's a 300-year-old song. Bach's been dead for the copyright's been expired for 170 years, that kind of thing." And I was going to complain about that, but what it turns out is that if you record a public a song that is public domain, you have rights to that recording. Now, what the goofy thing is one classical recording is going to be very, very similar to other people's. And honestly, I have no idea what version that I used. I got it from like a site that is like, "Hey, do you like classical music? Here's classical music." And it's not like, things like Warner Brothers didn't extensively use music from, the old Looney Tunes use a ton of public domain music, classical music in all of their stuff. And it's like, I can do that. But no, apparently there's also an issue with being able to tell which recording is actually being used. So anyways, what it might end up, I disputed it. The dispute might not work because it usually doesn't. But what I'm probably going to have to do is find a royalty-free classical music thing to be able to use. Because even if I use a version that people record that anyone can use, because they're all similar recordings, if it dings too similar to a copyrighted recording, I can get flagged for that, and I need to be able to it was like, who made the claim? Let me check real quick, because I can check real quick, see who made the claim. I'm gonna make sure this isn't making noise. I don't know if I have the sound off on my computer. Let me turn it off. It was like Merc. It was not in English. It was like Merzik. There was a copyright claim under the monetization. It was Muserk Rights Management is the ones who claiming it. They might have some right to it, but like it also might not be their recording, because apparently they've had a number of issues with that kind of thing. All right, I'll just find something that works better. Hold on. I'm going to go see to the dogs. I will be back. Hey, shush. Hey. Hey. Sorry, we got somebody outside. So hopefully they'll be good. All right, so it just might be a thing I got to deal with. I didn't realize you could that individual recordings were copyrighted, because I didn't think it was an issue or whatever. Excuse me. Let me take a look. See if we got any good what we got for questions. So we got a question about existentialism. Talked about that. Could you do orcs talk about does teeth buy happiness? Could be an idea. Could do something like that. I kind of need to. I feel like a little bit I'm getting kind of burnt out on what I'm doing, and I feel like I need a change. I feel like I haven't finished up a story for a while, and I feel like there's a couple that are kind of getting to close to the end. Like Heart of Iron is getting to it's not almost done, but it is. You're getting the final. We're approaching the final showdown. Kazazel's Merry Marauders, depending on some things, that could end somewhat soon. Let's see what else we got. Og just started. That I'm not wore out on, but it does take a lot of effort. Yeah, I feel like I need to change things up a little bit. Got a question. When will you pick the parts for that Noman Terminator Master model? I thought I sent you something about that. I know Eric Rayner was working. I thought I picked something. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I didn't actually send it, or something got goofed. Send me the email again, and I will respond. I apologize. I thought I replied. Who do I like more, Malal or Malice or Malal? They're kind of the same. And neither one has a ton of lore on them. I kind of like the ideas, and between the two of them, they're the same idea. Sons of Malice are kind of interesting. As far as things that are coming up for the channel, at the end of the month, I am going on vacation. I think I don't remember if I announced this, but it'll be the week ending with the 26th. It's like the 19th to the 26th. I'll be on vacation, so I will need to have some stuff made up for that. And that might be a good thing to do, of just have because I did take a vacation earlier and had like a long weekend, left at like took off Thursday, left Friday, came back on late Sunday. But I might need a longer. And that wasn't exactly a restful vacation. We went camping, and camping is camping and hiking is not exactly restful. But yeah, I'm going to try to get. I'm going to probably use that as a chance to kind of recollect myself. Been dealing with a little bit of burnout, but I am, going to soldier through it. I think another big thing that's going to help is I'm getting to the end of my class. That should be ending in 2 more weeks, and I will then be quite a bit more free to work on things. I'll talk a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about what's going on with how I feel about my current series. I've had a lot of fun of doing the orc philosophy videos. They've been the ones that have kind of blown up the most recently. Had of course the Orcs Discuss Socrates blow up. That's now at 130,000 views. So I have a question about growing the tribe. I'll get to growing the tribe and discuss that. It's something that's a lot of fun to me because I can do an orc voice. I think the orc mindset is a very interesting one. It's like because of the way they are genetically predisposed, they have a very simple philosophy on life, and it makes a lot of sense for them. And in the context of orky thought, like philosophy is very funny to me because most of the stuff is just useless, pointless nonsense that doesn't make any sense to orcs. And I do kind of like the Orcs Discuss Philosophy because, yes, I am discussing kind of the basic intro level understandings of what the philosophers are saying. This is like the Cliff Notes to the Cliff Notes. That if you get a really, really basic understanding of what's going on, which I think sometimes can be very useful. When I was younger, there were a couple times where I saw Shakespeare plays performed, and I didn't really understand what was going on. And what I found was during that period of time, if I had kind of the plot of the play summarized to me, and like, here's the things that are happening right now, here's what's going on, then the very dense language became easier to understand because I understood the context of what everyone's saying. So, are you going to do more proper orc stories? I've done a lot of orc stories. I've kind of deliberately don't have any normal orc stories going on because I did Guts Mangle's Boys, which is a pretty straight up orc story. I did Gitsley Escapes from Kalmara. That's a very silly story, but it's a pretty much straight up orc story. The story of De Emperor is related to orc philosophy. Growing the Tribes is a pretty straight up orky story, but we haven't had any orc characters. They've all been grots, snotlings, and squigs. Hey, Noman, remember when you did a stream reading fan stories? I quite liked the way you portrayed the PDF POV character for mine, Doom, Faith, Humanity, as I plan to make it a YouTube series. As your own stories have inspired me, I wanted to ask, would you be interested in voicing the character for the actual series itself? Of course, the appropriate compensation will be provided. You could drop me a line and I'll see what you need from me. I'm certainly happy to help people out. And then it's a question of scheduling. But yeah, you can go ahead and drop me a line. We could discuss it, off stream. See what you need, because I'm usually down to, like, not I can't if every one of my fans was like, voice this thing for me. I don't know if I can, but like, yeah, like, drop me a line and I will see what I can do. Um, right now my schedule's a little tight, but um, I should be able to work something out. So yeah, drop me a line. Um, on another note, do you think Will ever get to be with Snaudius as big as the model like I made for him for his future? That really depends on what people decide to do. Snaudius was nearly killed in the last stream. Spoilers to anybody who's not following. I guess I should have said that for people who aren't. Snaudius has had a couple of close brushes with death, and dying is a very real possibility at all times in the 40k universe. So it is perfectly possible that he can die, because of bad decisions or a series of bad rolls. Um, Excuse me. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on orc philosophy. It's a lot of fun. I do have a philosophy background, from undergrad. Uh, it's just a chance for me to kind of make philosophy jokes and have them. There's a bunch of times where I am deliberately misinterpreting things from the philosophy because the orcs are stupid or don't understand like a concept or can't understand a concept because it's not related to their life experience. Um, but it's a series that's just a lot of fun for me to do. Probably kind of want to take a break because I need to kind of it feels like it's getting a little stale for me. Um, I like the characters. I like Zork Gorkson, and I like Smart Boy Thinky Pants, and I like Smart Boy Septimus. Uh, and I have been changing some stuff around and advancing the plot and doing some other things to try to keep it fresh. But I feel like I need to keep. I think that I need to take the next step, and I don't know what that step is right now. Um, so, out of curiosity, how do you get your voice to sound more feminine, like Slaanesh and the Necron Queen? Slaanesh, I couldn't get that high. The uh, that needed to be pitch adjusted, so I was just higher pitch. And then it was the tricky part was you need to have your voice at the right level and then adjust it in a certain way so it doesn't sound like you just inhaled a bunch of helium, which is weird because it's like I have to record it but without knowing how it sounds, and then once I record it I have to like then change the pitch and see if it sounds like I'm sucking helium or if it actually sounds like it's a female voice. But as far as Merit Neath, the Necron Queen, um, kind of my female voice range is husky, like husky voice. So if I were to do Merit Neath, and she gets reverb put on her voice to make her sound robotic, but her voice sort of sounds like this. So I'm mostly very breathy and very deliberate and robotic and kind of maintain not a monotoned delivery. So she's kind of sounds like that. So she's it's I don't have to actually sound female. I need to sound like a female robot, which is a little bit different. Um, the most feminine I can kind of get. This is about my standard girl voice, and I'm still fairly deep. Uh, but that's about the limit of how far I can go. Because if I try to go even higher, it starts sounding unnatural. It doesn't sound really, and of course falsetto sounds terrible. Um, Am I associated with Alpha Busa? Nope, not at all. Alpha Busa once commented on one of my videos, but I have not contacted them in any capacity. But that's it. You have talked to me now more than Alpha Busa has. That Slanesh video made me realize you could work a bit to change your inflection for certain characters. Yeah, like Slanesh is very sensual and has a certain kind of delivery, kind of exaggerated like sassiness and of course I'm not yeah, it is. Doing female voices is a challenge. But I also pitch adjust for certain voices as well. Like when I did Korn, that's pitched lower. When I do Book, that's pitched lower because Book's voice kind of sounds like this, and then I pitch it lower to get like that really deep, resonant, like bestial sound out of him. No, pitch isn't the. It's no, it's not the best way because mostly you sound like you are, like I said, sucking helium. But if you do it a little bit, it can help. Yeah, there's only as much as I can. Uh, there's a way to do it, and I haven't figured out a way to go beyond my current range. Because people can tell you what you're supposed to do with your larynx and what you're supposed to do with this and how you're supposed to. But it's like if you don't know what that feels like to move that muscle, it's kind of just you move your voice around until you know until you make the sound you want to. I don't know what any part of my vocal cords are called, or like how to get certain effects. I would say the what was this? Someone's asking something. Sorry, Noman. That was the guy asking about your voice actor. That was for the guy working voice actor work. I'm getting confused. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, so as far as we can segue into that into the Price of Eternity. Like the Price of Eternity is a little odd because I really like the story, but it is. Oops, sorry, I knocked my desk. It is probably my least popular story series by a fairly healthy margin. I don't know if that's because of the point of view that I'm doing it from a Necron, from the leader of the Necrons, and then it's sort of you have a lot of characters that are the Necron thing, which is like they have a lack of emotion. They're all kind of crazy for the same reasons. There's a kind of similarity between the characters, and so I think Necrons tend to work better when they're talking to other creatures and when they're not there all the time. So I'm not quite sure what isn't working about that series because I am trying to bring in other characters that are interesting, so it's not just Merritt Neath monologuing. But yeah, I like her story. It's different. It was a lot of fun to kind of explore the Necron mentality, because they have definitely changed in the lore fairly recently. Um, the most 40k I played was mostly fourth edition, I think. I think fifth broke when I kind of stopped playing, when I just wasn't around people that played it all the time anymore. Um, so it's been a while. Um, but they have since changed the way Necrons are. They changed, because it used to be that the Satan were not defeated. The Satan were like still very much around and were the ones in charge of the robots. And then they, with the whole retcon of that, with making the Satan defeated in the War of Heaven, and all the Necrons are now kind of their own guys. They've completely flipped the character of the Necrons from being, you know, Egyptian themed Terminators to what if evil space Egyptians lived forever. Um, um, so it's been fun to explore that. It's been interesting to explore the kind of ruthless nature of Necrons. Um, I am trying to find better ways for the story to work, because I think people really like. I've gotten the most positive responses for my most action-filled stories. Like when the pew pew starts, that's when people seem to be most happy, which makes sense. Like 40k is a setting for a war game, so I think there's a fine line between like way too much talking and bolter porn. So I'm going to try to keep my balance, and things should get interesting because we're now getting into the fight with the Imperium between Merritt Neath and um, the Lord General, whose name I'm just blanking on. I know his name, Achilleus, Lord General Achilleus. Um, so hopefully that'll be interesting for people. Um, that story is not close to coming to an end, but I think we're past the halfway point of that one, I would say. Um, like I said, if you guys want me, if anybody wants to, I do have contacts on my channel. If you want me to do voice acting stuff, or you have a project for me, you can contact me. Just let me know what it is you want to do, how much stuff you need me to do, and we can sort out exactly how that's going to work. I can't make any promises. I don't know what my schedule. I don't know what can fit into my schedule, but I want to do more collabing and uh, help build a community out of the stuff I'm doing. Um, let's see. All right, so we can go on to my thoughts on growing the tribe. That's been requested, so I can talk about that. This was kind of an experiment, and it sort of grew out of the limitations of Kazazel's Merry Marauders, which is a choose your own adventure sort of thing. And the thing that I've had trouble with in Kazazel's Merry Marauders is every single, like, I frequently want to have things happen in such a way that that they're a little bit more exciting in the chapters, because essentially what you want to do is, like, you want to start, something happens, like, I like kind of the episodic thing. It's like something's happening, you want to find out what happened from the last story. Things happen, a problem crops up, something gets dramatic, and then we like end on some powerful point. But because I have to end with the player making a choice every time, frequently the dramatic thing that happens is the first thing that happens um, at the beginning of the next story, for Kazazel's Marauders. So I kind of sought to fix that of then making growing the tribe a role playing thing that I do with chat. And growing the tribe is a little challenging because I can't just write it off the top of my head. I have to use chat as the base of what I want. I have to go back and listen to, you know, the 2 hour, hour and a half long stream and pick out all of the information that I pick out all the information that I need to write the story of, like, who did what happened, and then I definitely will change things to make them more dramatic or to make things funnier or to do whatever. Um, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoy being over dramatic with it. Like, I think it is going to be weird when orcs actually pop up, and we're going to be doing, like, the tone of it's going to change fairly dramatically. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I can say about. Um, like I really like I think the most fun is just the engagement and the investment of my community in Snodius, and like they're really excited. They're naming characters, like, just random characters that got named by chat with Tree Climber and Snotbow and all these different other, Stinky and DeBrain, uh, Skullbash and his whole betrayal. There's like a lot of investment because people had a hand in creating what's going on, and that's been kind of the most interesting thing. And the challenge for me has been taking the story and then taking the role play and then compacting it down into a shorter story. Um, excuse me. I don't know why I'm like congested. Um, so yeah, I guess that's kind of my thoughts on growing the tribe. And I guess it's a little bit of my thoughts on Kazazel's Merry Marauders. I really like the characters in Kazazel's Merry Marauders. I like Book. I like Kazazel. Teresa has had some character development, but most of the choices have been around, most of the choices have been focused around Book and Kazazel. Um, and then you have Anthrax and Teresa are kind of on the same level. Like, they've been around, you know who they are, you kind of have a sense of their characters, but you haven't really gotten into them. There's also Ophis, who does exist, but we haven't done much with her. It's just she hasn't been as important. Um, but I enjoy it. I think it's interesting. I think it's fun to kind of explore the whole idea of Kazazel's Merry Marauders. Was my idea behind it was, how do I make uh, a dark Eldar character that I think is interesting, that I don't hate? Because I think Lady Malice, I think she's the one who might be, that she had a weird encounter with Chegarach, the Laughing God. Um, she's kind of interesting, and Vect is pretty interesting. Though his whole background of being a slave and then rising to the top and being like the mastermind of all masterminds is pretty interesting. He gets less interesting when he gets to pull the card of all according to plan, and that's his, like, superpowers. He is able to pull that out of nowhere. So Kazazel is kind of like, he's ruthless. He doesn't really care about people the same way humans do, but he doesn't. It's like he doesn't want to live the in the extremely dangerous place that Kamara is. That there's just so much backbiting and there's no trust, and he'd rather have he'd rather have a crew of what he views as primitives that he feels that he can predict their behavior a little more, or he just doesn't have to constantly defend himself. Can we do super chat role play, or do you not want that? I'm down for whatever. Like, if you guys want to super chat at me, like I can respond with whatever character you want me to. Like, I want you guys, if you guys want to have some fun, go ahead. Let's see. What else we got? All right, so what else? I'm going to think of what are my other stories. So we got Og. It took me a long time to come up with what I wanted to do with Og, and I kind of wanted to put him in a completely different situation. I didn't just want to do another military campaign. I wanted to put him in a different situation, and give him a chance to show how much he's grown, give him a chance to kind of make new decisions, and be out of his element. Because Og, as much as he's taken on a leadership position, he has always had someone, whether it be Gallus, Fletcher, Sergeant Lazarus, or whoever, who've kind of been able to tell him what to do. And what I want to do with what's happening now, with the rebellion in on the planet, which I'm gonna get spoilers to everyone. I don't remember all the names of everything that I have to look them up. Of what did I decide to call this thing? Polis. I know the city's called Polis. I can't remember if the planet is called Polis or the city's called Polis. Which, spoiler alert, if you understand Greek, Polis just means city, and it was what Constantinople was occasionally referred to as. And I don't remember if I named that was the planet or if that's the city or if they're both called that. Sorry if this is already asked, but do you find it hard to end your stories sometimes? Like, do you find yourself adding extra bit depending on viewer engagement? Not particularly. Typically, if I'm going just by engagement, which is not, got a couple of donations. I will get to the donations in 1 second. Let me finish my thought, and then I will. So thank you both for the donations. Sorry if this question was already asked, but do you find so do I kind of fill it out for hoping for more engagement? If I was doing things just for engagement, I'd write new stories all the time, because standalone stories or the start of stories are always have higher views than, chapter 10 of whatever it is I'm doing. Most people kind of drop off or lose interest, or like it's hard. The longer a story goes on, the less engagement there is. But that being said, I don't end things based on engagement. I end them based on. I usually have a plan, but sometimes things are a little bit more loosey-goosey of what exactly I want to have happen or how I want to get to this one point. And it is feeling out like, what have we done everything? Has everyone gone through their arcs? Are we ready to finish this? Okay, let's go ahead and wrap this up and do the big fight. So that's kind of where I am on that. But it's difficult, but not for the. It can be challenging to figure out an ending because you have to wrap everything up and make it really satisfying, but not really for the reasons that you're talking about, which is adding a bit to keep a story going because of viewer engagement. All right, Captain Black Toothbreaker, thank you for the $5. Have I read The Infinite and the Divine? I have heard of it. I have heard really good things about it. It sounds like a lot of fun. I think I'm going to get it. it's Trazen and the other Necron, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, and they're going around doing shenanigans. Like, that sounds like a lot of fun. So I do wanna get that book. Take a look. So, Opusa, no questions to be honest, just monies. Much appreciated. Thank you. Sorry if this has already been asked, but are you new to writing? If not, do you have anything for purchase that you have published? I do not have any published anything. I am not a professional writer. I am not a professional voice actor. I feel like I have some talent in these things, but I have never been published, and I've never, not really. Like, there were some, I think I'm technically published because when I was in middle and high school, I was in a couple of writing contests, so those are published somewhere, but they're not great. They're little kids don't know how to write. Even the best stuff that little kids write aren't great for adults to read. All right, here we go. Old Man Skeletal. I have an obligatory funds from a forlorn individual who may or may not be a consistent donor. Just want to say I'm excited for the future of Merit Neath. Hope that's spelled right. Any Eldar story plans? I do want to tackle Eldar. It's like Eldar and Tau. I have been so sad about like being engaged with them, but they're also kind of they're groups that I don't have a real strong emotional response to. And as far as Merit Neath is spelled, the I is a Y, but it doesn't really matter because it's an anglicization of a Greek pronunciation of an ancient Greek word. So if you spell it phonetically in English, it's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Or can the infinite? Yeah, I might get the audiobook. That sounds like it'd be fun, like something to listen to while I'm driving to work and stuff. Yeah. But excuse me, my goodness, I'm just like hiccuping and getting. I'm like gross today. But as far as doing Tau stuff, I dip my toe into Tau stuff with Kevon Jones. I've done a couple joke things with them. I want to figure out and I did dip my toes into Eldar through the Price of Eternity with Farseer Tereth. But I do think I want to do those races some justice and have a story that deals with them more prominently. I think the Tau are definitely going to be not the focus from it. Like, people have suggested that I do a Tau story from the point of view of a Guevesa, of a human that is allied, that is part of the Tau Empire, which I can do. I just don't have an idea for it yet. As far as the Eldar, I am debating whether I want to do a story that completely focuses on them, or if they are going to be a major player in a different story. Like I said, the Price of Eternity, I think I did a pretty good job with the Eldar there, but their story was not super long. I don't want to give away, I don't want to talk too much on the Price of Eternity, because I don't want to confirm or deny that they're going to return or like do stuff. Like, I don't want to talk too much about my plans for that, or lack thereof. But yeah, I'd like to do the Eldar. Give one of the things I think the Tau are probably going to be sooner than the Eldar, because I think the Tau get the most crap from the 40K fandom, And I don't hate the Tau. I think there is a period of time where the Tau were like broken and not fun to play against, where it's like you just get shot up before you can get into melee with them. Um, yeah, I I want to do something. Not sure I know what to do yet. Right now, Kevon Jones, who's just kind of a joke. I like Kevon Jones. I think he's very funny because he. I just have him talk in a way that people don't take seriously, but he's like more correct than either Adrian Pius or uh, Cyrus Amani. I actually do try to have him give the most correct answers. The only thing that he's wrong about is he's naive and his tone makes you not take him seriously. We had some discussions of Dune going on. I don't know. Like I read Dune a long time ago. Um, I haven't read it for a long time. Yeah, 40K is based on Dune. I would say more it's based on the Foundation series by Asimov because that's where you have the Empire of Man and there's an emperor and it's been going for tens of thousands of years. Um, and robots are illegal. So, all right. So I've let's see what else have I discussed. I think I want to discuss Heart of Iron, which I done goofed because I named it after a video game series. I completely forgot that was like a thing. I was like, that's Heart of Iron. That sounds cool. That also sounds weirdly familiar. Why does that sound familiar to me? I never played any of the games, but like I had actually heard of them before. I just forgot. I forgot that it was a thing. Um, Cyrus Amani is I feel like I'm a little limited on Cyrus Amani because like I think there's a lot of conservative issues that I can make fun of that aren't hot button issues that like that I can talk about that aren't going to make people mad. I think that there's a lot of I think there's a limited way that I can make fun of the more liberal side of talk radio, partially because liberals don't really have talk radio. Um, they just don't. Um, but to make fun of their talking points is a little tricky because so many of them are tied up with issues that are going on right now that everyone has very strong feelings about, both on the right and on the left. And it's like nobody really cares. It's kind of odd. Like nobody's mad about things that conservatives traditionally fight for, but both liberals and conservatives are super angry about whatever side they're on in the current culture war, which is mostly about whether like trying to stop liberal stuff or trying to. I don't like diving too much into politics. The only point of doing the political radio show is to point out how dumb politics is. Um, but I kind of want to discuss Heart of Iron. Like I said, getting into Heart of Iron. Um, it it was kind of Heart of Iron was inspired because I wanted to do a Space Marine story, and I was struck with the idea of having an Iron Hands because I sort of was like looking at different. I was like, I want to do a Space Marine story. Let's look at the different legions and what I want to do. The obvious choice is to do an Ultramarine because you can do anything with an Ultramarine. there's so many stories you can do about an Ultramarine because they're jack of all trades. You have a lot of room to have nice characterizations. A lot of like I did the Lamenters. I didn't really want to do uh, a nice guy faction again. I didn't want to do the Salamanders because I did the story with the Lamenters, and I think they'd be a little too similar to do back to back. Not that I'm saying I'll never do a Salamanders one. I wasn't really sure what to do with I wanted to do something with the White Scars, and now I'm doing that in Og the Ogren, and I think that's going to be a little bit more interesting because I've done a little bit more research on Mongolian history and culture, and I feel like I can work that in a little bit better. Um, but anyways, I looked at all the different loyalist chapters, and when I saw the whole shtick with the Iron Hands, um, I was struck with the idea for the story of their whole thing is the flesh is weak. We're gonna steel is strong. This, that, and the other thing. And it's like, well, it's not strong if you can't maintain it, if you can't keep it repaired. So I thought doing a story about an Iron Hands getting stuck on a planet and slowly kind of breaking down, um, and realizing the strength and necessity of that you do need the flesh. Like the steel without flesh is not strong because the flesh has to direct the steel, which is directed by the will, which is the whole point of the Riddle of Steel in Conan the Barbarian. But it was one of the things that so that was kind of the basic. The next thing I wanted to do was explore different cultures, because one of the complaints, this is kind of the culture war thing that's going on, because you have kind of uh, people who want representation, and the people who are pro that. It's like we want to see different cultures represented. We don't just want white male characters to be the ones who are all the protagonists, et cetera, et cetera. And then people who are kind of against that are saying, you're just sticking tokenized characters into media, and then you have these characters that don't have flaws or weaknesses and aren't interesting. They're just bland. They're just bland check marks. And so, again, I don't like the political discourse, but it's like I think both sides have a point in this. Is like I do think that we should have more stories about different cultures, but there's like such a weird moratorium on trying to represent the culture. It's like, yeah, I am a white man, but I am interested in Jewish culture, in like ancient Jewish history, and I also, I have like the Phrygians, who are kind of Greek adjacent group that they exist. Um, I also wanted to explore kind of uh, Arabic nomadic tribes and kind of do a Bedouin thing. I also have like ancient Jews. It's like It's like is the point for me to do a perfect examination of these cultures? No, this is you take the cultures, you take some of the aspects of them, and you put them in space. And I think people appreciate like when they see their own people represented, and that their people get to do something cool. Um, so I do try to mix it up as far as nationalities go. All right, got 10 from Lorenzo. Appreciate it. I've been impressed at how you've been able to successfully straddle issues on both the right and the left, poking just enough fun at them to not get banned. Keep up the good work. Catch you next time. Much appreciated, Lorenzo. Like, it is something that I very much believe in. The one thing that I kind of want to take a stand on politically is I think that that my country, which is the United States, and the world in general, is crippling itself because there's kind of this big rift that has been forming culturally, and I think people need to be able to talk. I think just like if we can all agree, hey, we want the world to be better. Like we actually want things to get better. We want to solve problems. If we want things to get better, then and we're all in agreement that we want things to get better, and we're more interested in things getting better than we are in blaming other people, then we really need discussion. Obviously, not every discussion is productive, but like I wish I didn't have to tippy toe around things. I wish I didn't have to. I wish I could. I wish I could say an opinion that is not correct, and then not be not be worried about being. I'm kind of small potatoes to be canceled, but like uh, I think if I said something wrong, I think there could be a kerfuffle in my comments, or like people would get really upset about things I said. Um, and I'm probably actually more uh, liberal than I am conservative, but I feel like I have a lot of trouble. I have a lot of trouble talking about things, which is like a really important part for me because I don't necessarily have like I need to figure out what my positions on things are, and it's like a minefield to just talk about things. And frequently through discussion is how I figure out what my position is. And I can do that with like friends, but um, I need to be careful of doing that on YouTube. But whether if you're one of my listeners, whether you're conservative, whether you're liberal, it's like I actually do take a little bit of pride that I've had people on my streams who or like on my videos who are very very politically different. Same thing on my Discord. Like people butt heads, but um, there is a degree to which people can get along more than I think news narratives like want to make it sound. Like people are not really all that different. Nobody's so the thing that makes people different is like getting defensive and assuming that and not treating the person you're talking to like as a real thinking person and just assuming they're an SJW, they're an alt-right crazy person, whatever term you want to use. It's like, but that's not. Treat people like they're people. You'd be surprised at how much gets solved. Now, some people are belligerent jerks who are not interested in a productive conversation, but most people are. Most people want things to get better. All right, I'm gonna break off politics, but I feel like it is something that I need to address when talking about actually having diversity in my stories because um, it's something I like to do. Like I had Inquisitor Torix was French. Uh, Vladislav, obviously he was of Slavic origin. My brain was thinking he was Russian. Um, I like having a lot of different kinds of characters that have a lot of different cultural backgrounds, and not to like I'm not trying to perfectly represent them, but it makes stories more interesting to have a variety of people. So that is kind of what I want to do. I actually do want to have diversity because I have fans from all over the world, and I want to give some shout outs and props to different people. I also have a lot of jokes that are I do have like linguistic jokes, and I'm amused every single time when the name of the ship of the in Kazazel's Merry Marauders, the Obezjana Autobus, because it translates as monkey bus in Russian. I do want to do Polish. I do kind of want to do the. If I were to do Polish, I would kind of want to do uh, the Winged Hussars, which I wouldn't. I'm not sure if I would want to do a, because they're kind of weird. Like usually you have uh, Space Marines are generally based on pre-modern militaries, and then Guardsmen are based on, you know, post-industrial kind of groups, and then you have the Winged Hussars, which are kind of, they're like early modern, so they're kind of straddling who ought to have them, and most horsed units are Rough Riders, are Guard. So there are things I'd like to do. I'd like to put some love on Poland. Um, it's just again trying to find the right spot for it and the right fit. But like get some Polish cavalry in there. I think that'd be fun. Kind of mixed up some stuff there, but that's okay. Um, Gurkhas be pretty neat. Could do Gurkhas. Could just do Indian stuff in general. I need to learn more stuff, but that's kind of like what I find fun is I do learn a little bit about the cultures when I'm trying to represent different things. Um, and it's always a little bit of a challenge to do accents because you don't want your accent to be too thick because it makes it difficult for it to be expressive in the language. So, you know, I have met French people who have pretty thick accents uh, who might sound a bit like this, and they are the cadence of their statements are much more related to French, um, which is harsh on the English ear. It's hard to get characterization across when somebody has a thick accent. So there's kind of a weird balance. Um, there's kind of a weird balance when it comes to accents. You don't. There's like a way to. It's like there's a way to do it to give the hint of the accent, but you want somebody who like. It's almost like you want to have somebody that knows how to speak English well, but still has an accent. Um, but not that I've also met plenty of people who speak very good English, but have thick accents and their cadence is more akin to their native language. But it is what it is. So that's kind of my thoughts on. I kind of got a way around it, but that is related to my thoughts on Heart of Iron, which I think has been fun. Like I really like Abaya. I really like Captain Fanuel. It was fun to kind of drop the bomb on the last episode, which I will not spoil if you haven't seen it yet. If you haven't listened to Heart of Iron, I recommend you take a look at it. All right, so what's my plan for my channel? There are a couple things I want to do. One is I want to pay for an animator to make an intro for me. Kind of do something uh, like once Voldemort got himself an introduction, and it looked really cool. So I might pay someone to make a nice introduction for me. I am in the process of getting a new version of my avatar, so I can have a new channel photo. That is currently going on. I also want to put out the word for animators because I would like to have bits of some of my most popular stuff animated. The two things that came to mind that I definitely want to have animated is I'd like to have the first Og the Ogren video, the Ogren, the commissar convincing the Ogren to get into the transport. I would love for that to get animated. It's a bit long, but I'd like for that to get animated. The other thing I wanted to do to get animated, which might be the first thing I animate, is the end of the first Og the Ogren series. So like, if you haven't seen it, I don't know. Spoiler alert. If you, it's my most popular series. It still is. If you haven't listened to Og, I encourage you to go do so. But there's at the very end of that, the big. So this is all spoilers. So cover your ears if you really don't want to hear it, or God give you plenty of warning. But when the battle's over and like everyone's exhausted and everyone's caked in blood and kind of sitting around and not able to do anything, barely able to move, Og kind of says, is it over? And Gallus says something along the lines, yes, Og. I think it's finally over. And Og's response is, good, because I'm hungry. I would love for that to be animated. Like just that end, I would love for that to be animated. So we'll see. I have that's kind of what I have on the horizon for now. Is keep recording things, keep making stories, and then if something works really well, or I have some like a little bit is really good, I can get that animated. Like another little bit would be like I would love to see a kind of a phone split screen when Merritt Neath is negotiating with one of the planetary governors who's being like pompous. He's like, you'll not speak to me this way. We have ruled over this system for 500 years. And she's like, yeah, whatever. And it's like, you have, she comes on and is, you have 2 weeks to remove yourselves. And like the guy says something along the lines of, who is that? And she says, it's my husband. And his response is, you're female? You have 1 week. Like I think that exchange would also be funny to have animated. Got any more questions? Now you motivated me to move on that one, the animatic I wanted to make with Maestro Chapovsky. Yeah, I saw the one frame you did. You have that posted on the Reddit. Because I think that is funny. The exchange with Red Brain and Gitslea with the captured Maestro Chapovsky when they're going over the stupid plan. Yeah, I would love to see that come up. That'd be a lot of fun. Somebody commented, "Yeah, you don't want a Frenchman with an English accent looking at you, Picard." That's such a weird thing that like every Europe, like in the American brain, every person, if you take anyone in Europe and make them speak English, unless they're Russian, they all have like English accents. It's super popular to make the French have English accents for some reason. It's like Spain usually has Spanish accents, Russia has Russian accents, but like usually don't hear Scandinavian accents if it's like an English speaking production with English actors. They usually don't bother changing. Yeah, not really German. I remember plenty of World War II movies where it's like if you're focusing on the Nazis, frequently they won't change the English accents to German accents. Um, yeah, it's just a weird phenomenon. I haven't heard its Danish accent. I haven't heard a lot of. The only Scandinavian accent I've heard a lot of that I could probably mimic is Dutch. Or at least the Dutch that I have heard. He sort of sounds like this. Maybe that was just the person that I talked to was very calm, very collected, and he was always very easygoing. Like that was the one guy who was Dutch that I like heard him talk a lot. Like I got an ear for that. Yeah, Dutch is not. Yeah. There, Denmark is. Wait, I'm mixing up. No, I'm Danish is Denmark. Dutch. Well, Dutch is not unrelated. They're not unrelated. Aren't they linguistically similar? Dutch is more closely related to German. No, they're like that weird Germanic. There's some overlap, but it's not. It's not Scandinavian. No. Yeah. Denmark is Scandinavian, and Finland is not Scandinavian. Not really. Norway, Sweden, Denmark. Wouldn't you can still consider wouldn't you still consider Iceland? Iceland's still Scandinavian. Not there's but there's like 5 people that live there. Iceland is its own thing. Yeah, but their language is like the closest one to Old Norse. Iceland got weird and isolated, I guess. No, I haven't heard enough people from Scandinavia talk. I just don't have an ear for the accent. Yeah, I did that on purpose. Yeah, I made the isolated joke. I'm not sorry. You'll get no apologies from me. Let's see. What else haven't I? Any other? Is there any series I missed that I haven't talked about? Talk about orc philosophy. Did I talk about the new Og the Ogren series? I don't. There's not a whole lot to talk about. Um, Now Iceland having a dating app to yeah, it makes sense. There's only like 300,000 people living on Iceland. It is very small. There's nobody lives in Iceland. I give Iceland props. Like for not very many people living on their in their country, they actually have had some cultural a lot more. They've had outsized cultural impact on things. Like people know he like I know how do you pronounce it? Reykjavik is the capital. Like I know the capital of Iceland, and I'm sure there are plenty of European countries I do not know the capital city of. Um, but I can talk briefly about Og the Ogren. Um, yeah, when it came to coming up with a new, yeah, I did talk about this. Yeah, I wanted to have a story where Og was in a different situation, where he's having to make decisions on his own. Um, yeah, there's not a whole lot else because the story hasn't gone on for very long. And if I talk about where I want it to go and what exactly I want to do, I'm going to give stuff away. We're getting on. We're approaching an hour and 20 minutes. Excuse me. I'm probably going to end it at 1:30, half an hour and a half. Um, but if you wanted to ask more questions, I'm certainly happy to answer them. Ugh. Again, Og, the financial administrator. Oh, are you talking about Governor Greg? That's gotta be. I gotta be honest. I don't really know what else to do with that series of jokes. It's like that might have just been a one-off thing. I can't think of something else funny to do with an ogre being a governor. I'm also considering doing the bad writing prompt again. Let it get that might be a nice creative kick in the backside of do a one-off story of something that's really hard, and that'll get like maybe creative juices flowing again. Um, I know some people who've been with me through the previous bad the bad writing prompt challenge. Um, some of it's gotten a little stale. Like some of the things I still want to try to do, but it's it's been hard for me to churn up ideas for it. Um, but I might do it again. Would you be willing to read the All Guardsmen Party series? That's long, isn't it? That's like a gajillion part series. How many? It's like 43 parts, isn't it? It's still going on, is what it's doing, but it is long, long, long. Is it still going on? I don't know. Will I make a series that is not Warhammer? Maybe. I'm probably not going to dip into other fandoms. Um, I either don't know enough or don't like the thing enough. I think there was a time where I would have made Star Wars stuff, where I would have made like Jedi stories, and there's a long time ago, back when the stories first came out, I might have done Harry Potter stuff, but that was that was before I graduated high school. That was a long time ago. Um, my plan, if I start new series, I think they're just going to be my stuff. Um, my hope is that if I stop if GW ever brings down the hammer and says I can't do what I'm doing, okay, that's going to be what it'll be. I have heard of BattleTech. I don't know that much about it. I know it is a battle mech fighting game. I know my friend played it some. I know that there are different time periods and different wars that things happen in, but I don't know that much about the lore. Like I don't know a single character's name. I knew there was a cartoon. There was a BattleTech cartoon. I watched the BattleTech cartoon, and I don't remember anything about it. I remember it had really bad '90s 3D animation. Um, but yeah, as far as one of the things that you have to keep in mind is when you make a YouTube channel, you kind of have to keep things on brand. Of there's the reason people come to your channel is to see certain kinds of content, and if you are coming out of left field and making random content that has no consistency, you know, people aren't going to keep coming back for seeing what you're going to see because you're making all different kinds. Like there's no consistency, so they're not going to subscribe and be loyal to your channel. They'll, you know, if something gets popular, it gets popular, but you want to keep things fairly tight. So I do eventually probably want to diversify, but I don't think I want to get into other kinds of fanfic. Um, so that is my feelings on that issue. Um, I'd like to do more stuff, but it is I have done my own stories, or at least I did a couple of stories. Niels Ebsen, who I don't think is on here. I think he wrote uh what is it? What the Cat Told, I think is what the story was called. That I mean that was his story, so it wasn't like a thing I wrote, but that didn't get as much attention. And then I did write the story of the artist and the ruined king, which was mine. Um, and that has not been that has was not very popular. I don't know, that might have broken 1,000 views, but it's also been out for a really long time. Um, I'll figure it out. I'm gonna keep growing. I'm gonna keep doing things. I'm gonna keep trying to whatever it is that makes me have fun and still be creative and produce something that you guys like. Um, I'll keep figuring out ways to do that. Um, you know, until I can't, until my brain breaks and I can't do it anymore. I will keep writing stuff. Um, but yeah, I think another bad writing prompt might be a fun thing to do again. Um, yeah, I'll post like a community tab thing, or maybe do another video calling for it, because I think that'll be fun. I think deliberate. It's almost like it resets my brain if I try to do a bad writing prompt. Um, it's like, I don't know. It puts my regular series in perspective, and it's like, oh, this isn't that hard anymore. All right. Um, yeah, we got about 5 minutes left. Wanted to thank everybody who donated. So Lorenzo, I think I got everyone. Yeah, Lorenzo, Old Man Skeletal, Opusa, and Captain Toothbreaker. Very much appreciate. I think that was it for donations today. But usually the Q&As don't get as many donations, which is fine. My brain was baked and I didn't have any good ideas for what to do for the stream, but I wanted to bring you guys something. Um, I don't know if I'd be able to come up with a worse idea in the first time. Uh, the two one there were two stories that came out of the last one, because I did the one that was voted on, which was an Ogren becomes planetary governor, which I thought was a little bit too easy, because it played into my strength, which is doing writing and doing Ogrens. Like I can do that. That's pretty. Again, I got to do it in a creative way, which was like in a newscast. And then the one that Eric Rayner came up with, what he's referring to, that was the one that I chose because I was afraid to do it, which was uh, the Emperor has a daughter that's more powerful than he is, and she's secretly behind all of the victories that the Imperium ever had. So no, 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 no pressure. If people are broke, do not feel any pressure to send money. I'm happy to hang out and chill. So you've mentioned you don't want to do a face reveal. Is there a specific reason why? Yes, I just don't like. Essentially, now, essentially, my job in the future, um, there might be issues with me showing my face on YouTube, and uh, it's just better if I get super popular. I don't want my face associated with it. I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't know. I just don't want people to know who I am. I don't want. There are problems that people have um, by being public figures, and if I don't reveal my face, then I'm not a public figure. So that's the only reason. It is. I don't. There's some work concerns for it, and there's also I don't want the problems associated with being a public figure. No, I've definitely heard stories from YouTubers of like they get like mostly people coming up to them they don't know and like being weird. Like it's like I do not want I want to like go about my life and have people not bother me. Again, I'm not a big channel. I am pretty darn small, and I think most uh, Warhammer YouTubers I don't know, who's the only one that can be recognized? Most people don't show their faces. What is it? Major Kill's kind of the only one who shows his face. No, it's just I'd rather not if I don't have to. Plus, if I have his face reveal, that means I can't do all this in my pajamas. It's nice to not have to get dressed up to do my job. So yeah, if that's kind of the future of future of the channel, I want to do some Tau stuff. I want to do Eldar stuff. I want to wrap up. There's a couple of stories that are not super close to ending, but they're getting towards endgame. Because Azel's Merry Marauders is probably past the halfway point. We're getting to the final confrontation with Heart of Iron. Og just started, so that's a long ways away. I do want to do another bad writing prompt. I think it was a lot of fun to do. It's just I can't do a whole lot of them in a row. But anywho's, I think I'm going to call it, unless you all have burning questions that I must answer. Does anybody have burning questions that I have to answer about life, the universe, and anything? You need some secrets to life. Need some profound wisdom to carry you through the day. Have I considered doing a fantasy-based series? I have. I don't. It is two reasons. One, I'm not that interested in Warhammer Fantasy. There's also a lot of lore I'd need to cover and figure out what I wanted to do. I bet there'd be a way for me to like tell a story that doesn't require to know a whole lot of stuff. Probably a story of like, here's Joe Schmo the peasant who doesn't understand how anything works. Look at that, they're dealing with this scary problem, so I don't have to know every famous person. Oh, Zach, will Snottius ever forget to pick his nose? He has. He has. He's absolutely forgotten. Thought for the day. Let's see if we get a thought for the day. Let's see. What's thought for the day? All right. This has been kind of rattling around in my brain, and I don't know if this is me paraphrasing. Somebody probably said this better than me, and I just don't know what the original quote is. Let me see if I can piece it together in my head. Of people will often tell you you can do anything that you want, and this is true. You can do anything that you set your mind to. What they don't tell you to do is how to do that, and they don't tell you how hard it is. You can do anything, but you have to kind of start from nothing and learn how to do that thing and work really, 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 really hard and work harder than a lot of other people. And I think you can do it. I'm pretty proud that I sat down with nothing and made a channel out of it, just because, and was able to turn a hobby of mine into something that helps support me. So. Yeah, it's because you can do what you have talent for. It will never be mechanic too dirty, a high disgust instinct. Yeah, because you don't want to. You said I don't want to do that thing, so you don't. You could if you wanted to. You just don't want to. You would be. I mean, there are limitations. I think the biggest limitation is physical. Like if you have physical disabilities are like you're not a big, robust. There's certain physical qualities that you're born into. Like you are dealt a hand as far as like intelligence and how physical you are. You can work out and you can learn. There's a lot you can do to change things. Yes, there are limitations, but by and large part, I think most people don't realize their own capabilities when it comes time to doing things. My work, when it comes to me doing this, I have been writing and doing funny, like I haven't been professionally writing and doing funny voices, but I have been writing and doing funny voices since I was 10. Like I have been doing this sort of thing for a long, long time. So doing all this stuff is basically a big chunk of a lifetime to get good at what I'm doing. All right, we have now passed the hour-and-a-half mark. Thank you all. Thank you once again, everyone who donated. I'm going to give them one more shout out because I definitely appreciate it. The good thing is everyone kind of donated in like the same 5 minutes. So thank you, Captain Toothbreaker, Opusa, Old Man Skeletal, and Lorenzo. I'm pretty sure that is everybody. Was there a weird one at the beginning? I have a weird feeling somebody donated. Ermine? No, I don't think so. I think Captain Toothbreaker was the first one. Will we get more fart jokes? See, there's a tricky thing about fart jokes. Fart jokes are really funny, but if you do them too much, people will assume that you're weird about farts. There's a perfect time for fart jokes, and when the perfect time comes, you'll be ready for them. You'll be there when the perfect fart joke happens again. All right. Thank you all very much. Thanks for your donations. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your kind words. Thank you for your questions. It's been a fun stream, but I'm ready to enjoy my weekend. All right. Noman out.